Right on. So for today, before we get kicking into this workout, and since at the moment it's me and Elliot who are here live, I just want to see what's going on in Elliot's world, health and fitness in particular. We're going to have our small group call after this so we can kind of get into everything else, but let's like just narrow the frame for this conversation, this workout, and just tell me like nutrition, fitness, habits, or what's going on with you there. What are your primary goals and how are you progressing or not progressing towards those?
Okay, so I guess I'll start with goals. My primary goal is to remain active. And so to me, that means remaining limber and strong and continually exploring the limits of my own body. And so I have some weight goals that are really and just related to giving me the best chance of doing anything that I set my mind to. So physically, whether it's, I want to take up rock climbing or mountain biking or not even take those things up, but be able to do them on a whim without worrying about, am I going to be fit enough to do that? Or am I, I don't need to be an expert at any sport, but I want to be able to do any sport.
I like that.
When the opportunity arises. So, if I get asked to coach my kids' soccer team and I got to play in a soccer game with them, as a scrimmage, I'm there. I'm good. I'm not panting. I'm not having to, I'm not suffering. And I'm not like going to hurt the kids, because I've seen plenty of dads out there that come out and they're totally not fit. They try to play some soccer and they can't control their bodies. And so they keep running into these poor fucking kids.
Oh man.
And, and this is 220-pound men running into, 60-pound girls. So You're like, okay. So just being fit enough to be able to participate fully in those kinds of experiences. So those are my main goals. And so I set a lot of little goals around that. It's try to do a handstand, or try to do a muscle up, or try to do 10 pull-ups in a row, or any one of those things that are just these micro goals that keep me motivated to stay in shape. I'm excited that you have five days a week at this point, and I'm definitely taking full advantage of that. So every day at lunch time ish, I have something to do to make sure I'm continually testing those limits.
Mm-hmm. My anecdote. I just want
go ahead.
I just want to interject this anecdote, and then you can continue. But you're to your point of like being able to participate in any sport, whatever your kids are doing, and control your body and not be panting or out of breath or just physically incapable. Yesterday we went to the Esplanade in Boston with kids. They have a sick park there. Have you been to the like play space that they have on the Esplanade, like across from the half shell?
Didn't we do a session there once with Ryan a long time ago? And there's like a whole sort of amphitheater thing nearby.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you're describing the spot. I don't remember doing it for something with Ryan and you, but yeah, I remember doing something with Ryan. Maybe I'm not the only one that doesn't remember things. Or yeah, you're not the only one. So anyways, so they had this sick setup with like a climbing net structure with a slide coming out the top, and then they had like a little fake rock setup too, where you could do like, you could just climb up one side of it, or you could do some bouldering kind of around. and they had one that was made out of wood, and these like wooden beams, like posts sticking out in different directions with little notches cut into them so you could climb on them. Really cool. And the place was pretty full because the weather was amazing, and it's like one of the first good days we've had. And so there were kids running around like amok everywhere, but there was plenty of parents around. But the amount of parents that were actually engaging with their kids and like on these structures with their kids was a small fraction of the parents that were there. And I just thought it was cool. I felt really fortunate that I was one of the few that was just like enjoying, it's like having a great time, just like playing around, exploring what my body can do, and like engaging with these structures and these different like materials, and I don't know, I just felt much more connected with my kids too at that in that experience. And if I was just like watching them from the sidelines or like trying to like stand underneath it and like make sure that they don't fall, I was like right there next to them on the thing. So I just feel like that plays into what you were saying.
Yeah. So I'm not sure I have much else to contribute, but that's
so in terms, I mean, so we talked about the
physical. By nutrition.
Yeah.
Ebbs and flows. I've been tracking food for the better part of this year. Not a ton of changes this year because of the food tracking, but I've created some habits around it, around fasting, sort of liquid fasting for mornings into the afternoons, and really concentrating my primary meal to eating with the kids, early dinners.
Mm-hmm.
And so that habit has worked for me to be able to be on and off on the tracking without having a huge impact. But yeah, I know that I need to find some reason for weight goals. And I'm not in that moment right now, like in the past, it's been climbing or something like that, where it's really helped me get motivated. Initially, it was like just be able to do pull-ups. And so there was a strength to weight ratio that I was trying to get close to, and then climbing to get beyond a certain level. I found some motivation there, but yeah, I'm not hugely motivated at the moment, but I'm really maintaining with food tracking.
Mm-hmm. That's good. So you're motivated enough to keep doing the habits that are in place, and that's kind of keeping you at a more or less satisfactory spot.
Yeah, some days you kind of look at the scale and you're like, fuck, that's not exactly where I want to be. And then other days you see some progress, and then other days just don't even feel the need to check.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And that's all right. So yeah, nutrition is in that space where as a family, we're working on really reducing the amount of packaged food in the household.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a goal my wife has set. So I'm certainly on board with it. And it's a lot easier in the summertime to do that. As summer comes on, and she works at a farm and gets weekly CSAs from that, and we get our meat from Walden, and so between those two main places and sources, we're able to get close to that goal.
Mm-hmm.
I met a woman yesterday who's doing a 100-mile diet.
What is that?
It's only eat food that comes from within 100 miles.
Oh, nice. I like that.
It's really tough, she says.
Yeah. I set a goal at the beginning of this year to have 80% of my foods locally sourced. But I like what you just said is a much more clear and specific way to put that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but it doesn't, I mean,
no
doesn't
coffee, no coffee,
Mm.
no, she was a big beer drinker, so no beer for her. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I've been weaning myself off of coffee. I sent you guys my goals for this quarter. So my goal is 4 days. So 3 days a week of no coffee and 4 days on, which is, a big departure from having 7 days, multiple times a day, coffee and tea. But it's definitely,
So the caffeine specifically or coffee specifically? What is?
I know it's about coffee. So I've been decaf for a while. But this is about actually just not having, coffee comes from the seeds of a plant. And so the philosophy is the seeds of a plant have a fair amount of toxins in them, which a lot of times get billed as like healthy nutrients, but end up having adverse effects that we're just now starting to understand more fully. So just staying away from it just because it's made from roasting plant seeds. And same thing with the tea, right? It's tea leaves. And the tannins in tea are a digestive inhibitor. And so staying away from that. My loophole, which is helping, it's not really a loophole, but it's the fermented tea, the pu'er tea. So instead of drinking coffee or non-fermented tea, I drink the fermented tea leaves because that does reduce some of the toxins that exist inside the plant compounds. So it's working for now.
Okay, cool.
Yep. All right. So
no real source of caffeine otherwise, right?
it's true. So, and because this tea is fermented, it reduces the caffeine content significantly. So there's almost no caffeine. I have caffeine, a few times a week, but it's not nearly as much as I used to have. And yeah, so that's been an adjustment, but I feel really good. We used to get headaches like in the middle of the week, kind of like clockwork.
Yeah, when I stopped caffeine, that went away.
Yeah, same. That's what I'm finding. So that's good, and my energy feels more even. And I'm just actually, Jose had to post about this. This is the last thing I'll say, and then we'll get into it. But I feel like it's worth mentioning. Just shout out to Jose. In the group, he was saying that he stopped caffeine too, and when he's tired in the afternoon, what he does now is he just takes a fucking nap. It's like, what a novel idea.
Take a nap.
Just take a nap. And he said that he's more productive. It's something you almost have to see to believe, or you have to experience it for yourself to actually get on board with it. I would never imagine that taking a half an hour out of my day, which is already feels completely, like there's not enough time. Like there's no way that would make me more productive, but his experiences to the contrary. So my hat is off, and I'm kind of, trying to move in the same direction. If I feel tired, like Saturday, I felt real tired because I was kind of pushing the boundaries a little bit in terms of sleep earlier in the week, and so kind of changed my game up. And then Sunday was a much better day, but that was still kind of just exhausted in a good way at the end of the day. I was out all day with the kids, walking, playing on the play thing, and I was just, pretty toast at the end of the day. But just honoring that, just like letting myself be tired. Something kind of pretty new for me, actually, because in the past my story has been like, well, if I feel tired, then I'm just gonna fix it with drugs. I'm gonna create, the experience that I want to have instead of just allowing myself to have the experience that I'm having. And so it feels real new. We'll see what comes of it. But my energy is much more positive, and I think that's what makes it more productive, because I'm not trying to get myself to any other place than where I am today, and I can actually be content, be satisfied, and be creative. And I think that's kind of where the magic is. That's what Jose is. Since he's not here, I'll just put words in his mouth. That might be what's making the difference for him. So
I think also we're allowed to experiment. and, you know, you can try things, try something different than what you're doing and see if it has an effect.
Mhm.
So just recognizing that moment where something happens where you might want to change that feeling or that behavior or that situation in some way, or just like noticing and paying attention to your body and recognizing the signals, like all that stuff is something we can all aspire toward.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great point. Because that was exactly me, you know, for the last 15 years, is I wouldn't even realize that I was reacting to feeling a certain way. I would just automatically, you know, do something about it. It's just like a subconscious, there's like a trigger subconscious response. And then, you know, and then XYZ consequence or result. But now, like you're saying, like making all of that more aware and like allowing myself to just kind of do different things and just see what happens is a pretty new MO.